What y'all doing? Okay, so we got this in on a consignment. The backstory is it was an estate that they were releasing to us or trusting us with it, which I thank you for that, by the way. And this got a lot of eyes as it was waiting to be priced. It turns out that this is a reproduction of a painting that was done in 1850 by a Russian artist named Ivan Avovsky. I'm sure I am butchering that. Anyhow, the actual painting is about 8 feet. It's about 8 feet tall and 12 feet wide, and it is in a museum in St. Petersburg, currently called the State Russian Museum. This is a reproduction of it, and if you look really closely, you're gonna see the cracking in the canvas, okay? So that is a technique. Right away, I was like, something's not right about this. So I looked closely at the cracking. That looks good. Something that's, as old as it being painted in 1850 would have wear like that. But there's a small hole in the back of the painting, and I was able to see the canvas, brand spanking new. So I knew right away this was a reproduction of something. I'm not an art major, so I didn't know which painting, but we did the research. So this painting is called the Ninth Wave, and it shows, so in sailor terms, go ahead, girl, y'all hear Nancy punking out back there? Go ahead, that's Gail Pointer right there. So in sailor terms, the ninth wave is a succession of waves that get bigger and bigger and bigger. The idea then would be that the 10th wave would cause death. So ninth wave here, we have sailors, they're on the mast of a ship that's capsized. And then you can see that the waves are getting larger and larger, hence that ninth wave term. And then there's some imagery and illusion here with the mast actually looking like a cross. And then of course you have hope, maybe in the form of the afterlife or in God, whatever your religion is there. And that just maybe that ninth wave will be the last one that'll survive it. So to get this grazing look, okay, they take Elmer's glue. So they went in their child's art box and spread Elmer's glue all over this canvas. And then they painted on top of it. So whoever painted it obviously had talent, even though they were reproducing a painting that was already in circulation. But they used that glue texture to give it that appeal. And then in addition to that, they framed it in a style that would have lent itself towards the time of 1850 in Russia, in which it was actually painted. Now, some of you may have seen this documentary on Netflix. It's called Made You Look. So it tells the story of, reproductions in art. And isn't it funny that we call them knockoffs when we're talking about Louis Vuittons and Gucci's and clothes and purses? But when you talk about fine art, we call them reproductions. But what they're really doing is knocking it off. And I'd say about 15 years ago in New York, a woman and her husband made $80 million on reproducing Jackson Pollock. So the documentary covers this couple and the time that they served and how they were caught. And the irony there is that it took Jackson Pollock's son, who I believe it was his son, currently is over the estate, and he was duped as well. So this is, I've said this to you 1,000 times over. Everything gets knocked off. It is a multi-billion-dollar business. It is the largest business in the world and will always remain so. So if people are going through the lengths of which to reproduce these paintings, and the people that brought it in genuinely feel like that's what they have, of course we know not. Again, it is existing in a different size in a museum in Russia. But this is how big this business is, y'all. There is no fee too big to surmount if they think they can dupe you. Again, $80 million, and Jackson Pollock's son was duped as well. So, I don't know, maybe send your kids to art class, make sure they have their Elmer's glue.